You have just tapped into the Christian Life Coach Collective, and I'm your host, Laura Malone. I'm here to equip and encourage coaches in skills, business, personal life, and faith. I believe you're already 100% worthy and capable, and you're called for such a time as this. So let's get you walking it out with courage and confidence so you can be an amazing coach who sees transformation and great results in both your life and the lives around you. Let's get started. Pretty funny thing. This is episode number 300. And no, I did nothing special for it. I think I should have, but I've been pretty busy. We started another podcast. If you didn't know, it's called Story Makers. Everywhere you listen to this podcast, you can find that one. It's about identity, purpose, belonging, and leadership for women of faith. And while this podcast is geared more towards Christian life or any type of coach under that life coach umbrella, this new podcast is called Story Makers. It's specifically for Christian women who are just growing in their own life and becoming a story maker, living intentionally, leading themselves well, and creating a legacy for the people around them. So it's kind of taken a lot of attention and focus in addition to other things that I do in life. So I really didn't realize. We have come to episode number 300, and we're here. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for listening and connecting. And I am so thankful for all of the clients that I have gotten to meet and work with and see great results and transformation. The people who've gone through the course and become Sterling and Stone coaches. I'm so excited about this next season. I have no idea how many episodes we're going, but right now we're in this season of busting the myths that I keep encountering when I'm doing this like legacy builder coaching with business coaching with clients and coaches. And I just wanted to go after all of these things that people believe that are not true, that are holding you back. They're obstacles and hindrances for you to walk in your calling, be faithful, and know the truth. So I want to help you get set free from all the things that you believe in that are really hindering the love of God in your life, and that love being able to flow freely into your clients and the work you do. So let's jump in today to myth number 13, diving into this sneaky little myth that masquerades as wisdom, that creating boundaries now is going to help protect me in the future. And I want you to know that I'm saying boundaries are biblical and they can be healthy. But when they're rooted in fear instead of freedom, they actually become barriers to your growth and potential clients, as well as your connection and your obedience to what you're called to do. It usually sounds like something like I'm just being wise about my time. I don't want to be taken advantage of. I'm going to protect myself from burnout, from the get-go. I don't want too many clients, so I'm going to limit my schedule. And on the surface, I know that sounds really smart, but if you dig a little bit deeper, what's often happening underneath it is that coaches, especially new coaches, start setting up a lot of rules and limitations and preemptive barriers for things that haven't even happened to them. So instead of doing it out of a lived experience that breeds wisdom and knowledge, doing it out of fear. And that's the fear of being drained, being used, being rejected, not having control, being misunderstood. I'm not going to go on social media and do anything there, even though, I would, but I'm not going to, because then people will make comments. And so I'm just not going to do it because I never want to have comments, because I never want to feel rejected. I once had a session with a new coach, and she had told me that she decided she wasn't going to coach more than 3 people a month, and that she was never going to be available in the evenings, right? This was her way of blocking out and protecting her energy and her calendar, really. But she actually had never coached anybody. She had gotten trained, certified, but she hadn't actually taken clients. So she decided that 3 clients a month would be her max, and that she could only do it during the day. What was really happening was that she was building fences around things that had never even entered the field, right? So she was trying to avoid stress or pain that she had never actually encountered and didn't know if she had a capacity for. So the thing is that God, it doesn't call us to shrink back, because it says in Isaiah 54 to enlarge the place of your tent, not contract it. Stretch your tent curtains wide and don't hold back. Like, it's about making room and creating space to welcome people in. She was preemptively building boundaries around what she was afraid might happen before she'd even started. So she was doing the opposite of expanding. And when you start a business and you want to help people, that is the goal ultimately of that, is to expand. But when you begin to self-protect, you contract. So we're kind of tightening the ropes instead of lengthening them, and making the entrance, the doorway to the tent, to our coaching ministry and business, narrower and more complicated, and even just harder to access, maybe even find. So the truth is that more obstacles you set up for people to work with you, the fewer people will work with you. And what you're calling a boundary might actually be more like a barrier. Not for you, but for the very people that you're called to help. So when you create a rule or a restriction around something you haven't actually faced yet in your coaching or business, you're basically, unintentionally, of course, but you're basically putting more weight on your potential clients, and they already have enough to overcome in life, right? They don't need their coach to add another hurdle. Your job isn't to pre-filter everyone who might work with you. It's to show up and trust the Holy Spirit and just make adjustments and refine as you grow based on what you know. So boundaries should bless your practice, not block your practice and block people from stepping into it. The shift is that healthy boundaries come from discernment, not being on the defense. So instead of asking yourself, how can I avoid being hurt or overstressed? Ask, what is God inviting me to, and what boundaries will help me steward that well? Because there's a really big difference between walls that protect and walls that imprison. And you cannot make a plan for every challenge that might come your way. And you don't need to, because God is your provider and your protector, right? So His grace is going to meet you while you're in process. And it usually doesn't show up while you're in your preemptive planning stage about how you will protect yourself. You have to go get experience and then let the experience with the living human beings shape the boundaries that you create, rather than letting fear from your imagination and that paradigm of what might happen. Don't let that shape it. Start with values-based boundaries, not fear-based ones. So actually think about what matters most to you in your coaching practice. Do you have some non-negotiables that, regardless of experience in the future, these are actually things like, I don't take clients past 8 o'clock. My husband is home, the kids are in bed, and that is a protected time frame. No matter how well my business is doing, that's not a thing. That's a non-negotiable. You think about those things that are based on values that you can set a boundary around, or necessities, right? I work during the day and I'm building this business after work and after the kids are in bed, and early in the morning before I go to work, I am doing that. So there's necessity, because if you already work, you're gone 10 hours a day for a job and you're building this, then there's necessity. That's fine. That's a boundary because out of necessity, not fear. Build from that and then stay open to refining as you grow. And you're going to find that the real need that you have for boundaries becomes very clear when you're actually doing the work. So I want you to take inventory this week and actually ask yourself, where have you set up any protective boundaries that were rooted in fear, but not rooted in experiential knowledge or your calling? And then ask God to show you which of those walls He will help you bring down. They need to come down. And what He wants to build in their place. And that's going to be a lot of He is your refuge. He is your shield. But don't be afraid to begin. You cannot grow or refine anything you don't start. So It's okay just to get started. And honestly, here's the deal. If you have set up boundaries out of fear, stop and assess them. Are any of them working for you? And if you're not getting clients, then what can you change? If clients aren't booking because you don't have enough opportunities available to them, you have to consider that. Maybe even do some research and ask people who are saying no or passively scrolling past everything that you offer. Maybe if you ever get a chance to have a conversation, ask them why they didn't say yes. So I believe in you. You've got this. You can do this. You can refine. You can grow as you go. But don't let fear shape your future. Build out of a place of freedom and being adopted and not operating with scarcity and orphan mindset. Give yourself grace, but also open the door and let people find it, right? Keep making decisions that move the needle so that you can make an impact and an income. All right. Remember that all things are possible and everything's figure-outable and we can do it together. And I hope that you have a great week. And I'll talk to you in the next episode. Thanks for listening. For more coaching resources and to learn how to work with me, head to sterlingandstonementoring.com or click the link in the show notes. Remember, walk boldly in your calling, and I'll talk to you next time.